points, and you saw there, we kind of watched, sat around, ball came back to the Pistons as Abdur-Rahim nails the field goal, his first of the game. Dennis Scott into the game for Vancouver. You know what he can do. Launch it from beyond the arc. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Grizzlies are going to have to let this go. 3 on the shot. Abdur-Rahim with his second field goal. 4 points.
Get a little closer to Michael Dickerson. He's in the groove right now. You got to make him do something different than catch and shoot.
Curry strong to the hoop. Good defense from the Grizzlies. Dickerson on the run. Abdur-Rahim the flop. The other end as well. Detroit by 1. Bibby around everybody. Shareef. That shot was good.
Shooting coach Chip England, who's with him constantly, another ex-Duke basketball player, who's really been working hard.
Pistons ahead by 1. Grizzlies almost lost it. Reef now with
Warriors a 7-1 rebounding edge on Vancouver. Up the floor, Mullen with Mullen out. 3 and Price are going to have to work back. It is 6-0. Here's your last play of the first quarter. Who says this guy does not have a perimeter game? Newspapers saying he guarantees they will fall apart after the All-Star. Had the Warriors searching for the leaper all night. Abdur-Rahim.
And they gave up a 3. That's the kind of defense they've been playing during this losing streak.
Now, the scoreboard is not working here in the arena. It's 0-0 on the scoreboard, but
Good chance to pick it up. Shareef Abdur-Rahim loves the low block.
so now Bibby on the handle.
Quick post up for Reef before he can get help.
Daniel Martin with 11 to shoot, coming off a leg injury. Abdur-Rahim, he's been everything for Vancouver. That does not change, and then that's on the floor. And the Warriors within 1.
One-on-one with Shareef.
Shareef Abdur.
Real key is to get him to terminate his dribble a little further out than he would like. And you don't do it there. He's so smooth.
Drive, and Shareef fouls to use, though. That only a second.
Beautiful move by Abdur-Rahim. A little pump fake, up fake. And then he's one of those gifted players.
Down to 7. Abdur-Rahim around Antoine Jameson. Fouled.
All the difference in the world. Watch how much distance he covers. He picks that ball up. He may have stepped on the line.
Get things organized. Gives it out to Bibby. Mike from the left side, down to Shareef on the baseline against Thomas. Fakes high, goes low. Behind the back, dribble up with the lay-in. It's good, and what a nifty play by
Shareef. You did an excellent job that time. The Grizzlies need something to spark them. A good behind-the-back dribble. He takes the contact.
These teams all shooting over 65% right now. Quickly into DJ. Up to Shareef for the jump. Really not. Waiting. Now puts it on the floor. Out to Bibby. Bibby fakes the 3. Drives into the paint. Back to Shareef. Shoots the deep 2-pointer. And the mismatch with Big Dog on it. So they're trying to post up Shareef against Cassell. Reef with it. One up fake. Now leans. Shoots. Good. One ends it out to Reef against Thomas. They had to clear it out. He could drive on Thomas. Brings it into the paint. Stops. Spins. Shoots. Gets it anyway. Out to Bibby. He shoots. In and out. Rebound Shareef. Lay-in is good. On the Cavaliers television network, LeBron James runner. A little bit too strong off the glass. Shareef Abdur-Rahim is going to push out and handle against Carlos Boozer. Rahim with that strong whirl to the bucket and getting Atlanta on the board first. Carlos Boozer absolutely phenomenal, albeit in the loss the other night against the LA Clippers. Boozer with the 14 points on.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Go School Retro NBA episode 17. And this is where I'm going to dedicate to one of my favorite wing players, power forwards to ever grace the hardwood. It's Shareef, Mr. Georgia Basketball, Abdur-Rahim. Let's get it started. Shareef Abdur-Rahim is from Marietta, Georgia, Southern boy, and he loved the game of basketball since he was a youth. And when you talk about greatest wing players of all time, I think his name should actually be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. He wasn't a part of a lot of winning teams, and part two, not because of who he was. It was just a victim of circumstances. The guy had an infinite mid-range game, an outside touch, a finishing touch at the rim. He had a nose for the basketball. He was a great rebounder, great passer. I mean, the guy would fit in right into today's modern NBA because he could do a little bit of everything. He could defend well. He had a slender frame, but he could also have a good back to the basket game where he could post you up, or he can beat you off the dribble, put the ball on the floor. Mid-range, shooting, rebounding, passing. I mean, Shareef Abdur-Rahim was the jack of all trades when it came to the game of basketball. So Shareef's early life, he is a renowned Muslim and renounces his philosophies from his parents his wonderful parents who taught him a lot about life. His first name, Shareef, is noble. It means noble. And his last name is the merciful one. And that's what his last name stands for. And he carries his Muslim faith with him very well. And he's very just down to earth, just a very well-rounded man from his upbringing to where he's at now. His parents had a famous line that he will stick with him to this day. Remember how you came from and stay humble, which sticks with Shareef to this day because he holds that analogy, with his life. And I think that's pretty awesome. And that's a great saying, by the way, because you should always be humble and thank God for all and all you're merciful and everything. Whoever you pray to, thank him for, where you're at, because without faith, you wouldn't be who you are. And I think Shareef and his parents were a staple for that, especially with that line. If you guys don't know, Shareef comes from a basketball family. His older brother played for the University of Detroit, and his younger brother, Amir, played for Southeastern Louisiana. And his younger brother is a coach for South Florida. Shareef will go on to play for Marietta, Georgia's Joseph Wheeler High School, where he would actually win them a state title in back-to-back years. And he averaged 31 points a game. And this, mind you, he did this in his junior year. He won them a title. So that's a pretty amazing feat by Shareef Abdur-Rahim. His senior year, he put up 31 points per game, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Just goes to show you how he was dominating basketball down in Georgia and winning those titles for Wheeler High School. He goes on to be recruited by California University, where he would just tear it up. He was knocking down conference awards. He was knocking down anything, you name it, Shareef was winning them. In his first year, he was pulling down 21 points and 8 rebounds per game. He was the first freshman to win Conference Player of the Year and Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. Taking home those slew of honors would show the testament to the hard work and dedication that Shareef Abdur-Rahim would bring to the game, because he was illustrious in just getting to the basket and getting boards. He will go on to set freshman records in points, average, and rebounds. Another dope feat by Shareef Abdur-Rahim, and it shows you how the hard work that man has put in to get better from his young age to the college level. It's just a testament to all the hard work that man puts in. He would declare himself after 1 year with Cal, and would declare himself in the '96 NBA draft. And if you don't know that draft class, he was picked number 3 in round 1, right behind greats Allen Iverson, which I got right behind here, my guy AI, and Marcus Camby, which would be featured on another future episode of Go School Retro NBA, my guy coming out of UMass. And let me tell you, man, he goes on to play with a slew of greats in those years with the Grizzlies, and he would perform with another great all-time, player that was the son of Mike Bibby, and they had a good connection, a good inside-outside game. Will go on to play with Brian Country, Big Country Reeves, another guy, the shot stopper. If you guys remember Big Country, he was another big man center that was stuck on a lot of bad Grizzlies teams, just like Shareef Abdur-Rahim. He starts those first 5 years with the Grizzlies, and he takes home all rookie first team honors and finished 3rd in voting behind Stephon Marbury and Allen Iverson in Rookie of the Year voting. So he was top 3. This shows you how much of a problem Shareef was. And unfortunately, like I said before, it was stuck on an organization that while it had some good young talent, boy, it was some real down years with the Grizzlies. I mean, they were awful. Let's just put it plain and simple. But the one of many bright spots on the Grizzlies was Shareef Abdur-Rahim. He put up 18 points per game the first year, 6 boards and 2 dimes. And, he was a jack of all trades, like I said. I mean, the finishing touch at the rim, the post moves, the back to the basket, the inside-outside game. I'm talking about, this is the staple, man. Like, he would excel in the past era and in the present era of the modern game right now as we speak, because he was the perfect wing, so to speak, because he could do the jack of all trades and do a multitude of different things. And it's one of the things that I enjoyed of Shareef Abdur-Rahim. And I collected a lot of basketball cards back in the days, and I got his rookie card still to this day. I got his college basketball card. And it's just a lot of things that I have on him, because that's why this episode is dear to me, because I love Shareef Abdur-Rahim's game. And I just appreciate what he brought to it. He will remain with the Grizz the following season and will put up another 22, 7 rebound, 2 assist campaign. He also had 4 straight seasons of 20-point games, but unfortunately the Grizzlies weren't a good overall team, and they were in the bottom of the Midwest Conference for the years that he was there. And let me tell you something. This man finished in 13 categories. He finished top 20 in 13 different categories for the season. So it goes to tell you what he was doing in the game of basketball in those years, that, you know, he was cutting down a lot of statistical stat-wise. He was putting up those numbers, and he was in the top 20 in 13 categories. I mean, that's not no easy thing to achieve in the NBA, because you're talking about elite level competition, and he was breaking those barriers and breaking those stats, and always had his name in between those top stats, statistical categories in the NBA. So it just goes to show you what Reef was about. Following that, his tenure with the Grizzlies, he would eventually be moved on and be dealt to Atlanta with the 27th pick for Paul Gasol, Brevin Knight, and Lorenzen Wright. And there, he was thought to be another piece for the Atlanta Hawks team that was struggling. And he would join sophomore Jason Terry, another lighthouse shooter that came into the league guns blazing, and was a knockdown shooter, along with Glenn Big Dog Robinson. And these guys averaged 57 points per game in total, which was pretty dope between those three. It shows to show you that those guys were bucket getters, and they were guys that could put that ball in the hoop. And they, you know, even though that they were great at scoring, unfortunately the Hawks wouldn't win a lot of games. And for him returning home to Atlanta, where he was born and bred, I know that he was happy to return home to be playing in front of family and friends. He actually had a 50-point game in his first year, but they finished 33 and 49, and they missed out on the playoffs. But this guy, if you watch the highlights of him, and I know I had the fortunate opportunity of watching him play with the Hawks, the Grizzlies, and every place that he landed throughout his career. And I know those Hawks teams, they lost a lot of games. They didn't make it to the playoffs, but they were fun to watch. They were a lot of up tempo, good ball movement, good shooting, good scoring, inside outside game, and it was just fun watching him. But in that second year, he would go on to reach the 10,000 point plateau, which would be the 6th youngest player in NBA history to do so. So that's another testament, and hats off to Reef for doing that, because it goes to show you, man, how much work he was putting in as a young fella in the league. And just, being a part of that illustrious, stat line is pretty dope. He would also make his first All-Star appearance. So I know that was a big win for him in his hometown, making the All-Star team, his first and only All-Star appearance. Unfortunately, the Hawks would miss the playoffs, and they would move in a different direction afterwards. He would go on to put up 18 points and 4 rebounds a game. He averaged 19 points and 8 rebounds per game before he was traded to Portland alongside with Dad Dickow for Rasheed Wallace and Wesley Person, where he would join the Trailblazers. He had less of an impact with the Portland Trailblazers, where he would see his numbers dip from 16 points to 7 rebounds a game. And if you guys don't know, that Trailblazer team, they had a lot of issues. A lot of players on that team had off-the-court issues, and there was a lot of chemistry things. So I just feel like throughout his career, he's been put in situations where the teams weren't legitimately the best fit for him, and he wasn't never a part of any, he never walked into winning organizations. It was always organizations that were either too young to compete, or they just didn't really care about putting together a winning organization. And a lot of times he had to carry a lot of teams that weren't that good. While they had a couple of good players, they weren't an overall good team to actually make playoff runs. And with Portland, I felt like he didn't, it wasn't given a fair shot. It wasn't a good team. The team was in shambles, and I felt like it was just a victim of his circumstances, which is like the storyline of Shareef's career. Is that he's just been in some bad situations. Following that year, he became a free agent, and then the sign and trade would be dealt to the Nets. But that trade would later be rescinded because, in the words of what he said, he didn't feel like being a Net, and eventually the team pulled out. But you could imagine, because the Nets were taking off at that time. If they would have added Shareef Abdur-Rahim, they probably would have went to the finals again, maybe back to back. Honestly, I know it's a hot take, but I think that would happen. But it wasn't in Shareef's plans. He didn't have the heart, didn't want to play with the Nets, so he decided to basically choose another route. He goes on to sign with the Sacramento Kings, where he puts up 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists, while also starting 30 out of 72 games, and shot 54% from the field and 80% from the free throw line. And guess what? In that year, he finally makes the playoffs. And unfortunately, they went up against the powerhouse in the San Antonio Spurs and would meet their demise in 6 games. And the following season, he ended up only playing 6 games due to chronic knee issues, where he would then retire. So that's not how his career would end as far as the NBA goes. But to me personally, I feel like this. He was put in situations where it wasn't deemed to successful, for him as a player, because he was a good basketball player. To me, me personally, I think he should be in consideration for Hall of Fame, but he probably won't get it because he was in so many bad situations, as far as like being on a rebuilding team with the Grizzlies that just came into the league, too young to compete, didn't really get a lot of notoriety, fan recognition. They ended up moving on from Vancouver. And then you look at his career, joining multiple teams with the Grizzlies, the Trail Blazers, and all the teams that he played for, and they just weren't good enough to compete at the high level as far as making the playoffs. They were fun to watch, but they weren't competing at the level of making the playoffs where he would get the recognition that I feel like he should have got. Because I still think that we don't measure stars with as far as like winning titles and stuff like that, but I feel like he was just a victim of his circumstances. I feel like he wasn't put in a situation to succeed, because I feel like he had to carry his teams on a lot of nights, and I feel like he didn't get enough help, aside from maybe like 1 or 2 players. But overall, the teams weren't well put together, thus not making the playoffs. So I feel like if he was put in a better team, in a better situation, we probably would have saw a more deeper, more better side of him, and maybe the NBA would recognize him a bit more as far as enshrining him in the Hall of Fame. Because, like I said, this man could do everything. I mean, mid-range shooting, passing, a good solid defending wing that's just versatile. And I feel like he doesn't get the recognition to this day that he should have, because of the bad teams that he was on and not really making the playoffs like that. And I feel like it's unfair to Shareef. And the crazy part is, after he retired, a week later, they put him as an assistant with the Kings, where following that, he would be the player of personnel and be charged with those decisions. So it goes to show you that he's a mentor of the game. Not only was he great at the game, he was good at being the mentor of the game and teaching these younger generations coming into the league, and these players, veterans, you name them, schooling them in the game. And it goes to show you a testament to all the hard work that Shareef has put in. He ended up being the general manager of the Reno Bighorn. And then following that, he ends up being the president of the G League. So it goes to show you, man, this guy is he's good at running organizations. He's good at playing the game, coaching the game, and doing a slew of other things. And hats off to Shareef, man, because like I said, this episode is personal to me, because you were one of my favorite players growing up as a teen, watching you in college and hitting the pro level, and to where you're at now, watching your success. I just love to see that, man. I really appreciate you from the top of my heart, Shareef, if you're watching this. He goes on to marry Delicia, his wife, and has 2 kids, Samaya and Jabari. And Jabari, as of 2019, was top 30 ESPN, where he committed to play with Virginia Cavaliers, who was coached by Tony Bennett, formerly of the Charlotte Hornets. And eventually he would transfer to the University of Georgia, where he plays. Shareef also is a man of the people. He established back home in Georgia the Future Foundation, where he dedicates resources and after-school programs for at-risk youth of Atlanta, which is pretty dope, because if you know me, I love people that give back to their community and help their communities and uplift their communities. And regardless of their stature or their fame or celebrity or athletes, when I see people doing that, I think that touches me in the bottom of my heart, because I feel like what good are you if people look up to you, but what do you do for the people? And I feel like him doing that just shows the heart that he has. And he's a very smart man. He went back and got his degree at California University. He got his MBA in sociology, and I feel like he's just a smart man on the court and off the court, and giving back to the community. So, like I said, man, NBA, let's get that man in the Hall of Fame. But I want to show you guys something, right? Just to show you a testament to why I love the man so much in his game. I still got these cards to this day. His California card, and I got his rookie card from when he entered the league with the Grizzlies. So this is why this episode is special to me, because I love this game, and for me to talk about it is an honor. So this is going to wrap up Gold School Retro NBA episode 17. Shareef, Mr. Georgia Basketball, Abdur-Rahim, Reef. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you do so at Go School Retro NBA. It's on YouTube and Spotify. The link is in my bio. The link is on my Twitter. My Twitter handle is AriHoops84. You guys can follow me on there. All the links are below. Make sure you like and subscribe to this if you haven't already. And I just want to say thank you guys for always supporting me and always encouraging me in my endeavors. And thank you for being the supporters of Go School Retro NBA. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to see you on the next episode. One love.